Hey guys, I'm Joseph from the MTG Thoughtcast, and I will be your host for the daily spoiler videos for Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Today we have Day 0, which is a few things that we know about Thunder Junction and some cards that have been previewed before the official spoiler season starts on March 26th. So let's go through those, but before we do, if you want to join in on the discussion about these cards, you can join our Discord in the link down below. It's totally free. We're hanging out there all the time. It's a blast. We have a Looking for Games channel for people who want to play some Spell Table. It's a great time. Good place. Also, down below, there's just a bunch of buttons that tell the robots that you like us and you want to see more of our content. So go ahead and click all those likes, comments, subscribes, all of the things. Really helps us out, puts our videos in more feeds. With all of that out of the way now, let's go ahead and dive into some of the spoilers from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. So the first card we obviously have to talk about is OKO The Ring Leader. It's 4 mana for a legendary planeswalker, OKO. We're seeing our hot Faerie boy again. So he has a static ability of, at the beginning of combat on your turn, OKO The Ring Leader becomes a copy of up to 1 target creature you control until the end of turn, except he has hexproof. It's a weird one. So when he becomes a copy of that creature, he'll no longer have his loyalty abilities. So when you play this, you're going to want to use his loyalty abilities before combat or after combat if you're not making it a copy of something, because it is up to 1 target. He starts at 3 loyalty, has a +1 of draw 2 cards. If you've committed a crime this turn, discard a card. Otherwise, discard 2 cards. It has a -1 of creating a 3/3 green elk creature token, and a -5 of, for each other non-land permanent you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. So real quick, going back, what is a crime? So crime is it's a new keyworded kind of group of anything that you do or cast that is targeting an opponent or anything of theirs. So their library, their permanents, their hand, any of that is a crime. So if you've committed a crime, you've targeted your opponent or something involved with your opponent. So looking over this card, it's very good. 4 mana without the static ability to come in. It has a -1 that protects itself. It has a +1 that draws cards. Those are historically very powerful planeswalkers. Adding in the ability to just become a copy of a creature with hexproof, I don't really know the implications of that. I don't know what that's going to break, but it will break something for sure, as OKO is known to do. Yeah, this is going to be probably the chase planeswalker in the set. It seems very good. I don't really know much else to talk about it other than it does crazy OKO things. Up next, we have Tiny Bones, the Pickpocket. It is a single black mana for a 1/1 legendary creature, Skeleton Rogue. I already fear for how much I'm going to be playing against this in Brawl on Arena. So it's a 1/1 with Death Touch, and it says whenever Tiny Bones deals combat damage to a player, you get to cast a non-land permanent from that player's graveyard, and you can spend mana of any color to cast it. I'm really not sure about this. Obviously, as a commander or as a Brawl commander, you can build around it and play a bunch of discard cards, or you can play Thought Seizes with this, and it becomes very good. There's a bit of it that reminds me of like Ragavan, because it's a single mana legendary creature that gets you card advantage, but it doesn't fuel itself. So that alone is kind of making me a bit skeptical of it, but we'll see where Tiny Bones leads us. Next we have Fibble, Lost on the Range. It's 1 blue and a blue for a 1/1 legendary creature, Homunculus, with Ward 2, of course, because that's the era that we're in. He says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. The top card of your library has plot. We'll get back there. The plot cost is equal to its mana cost, and then you may plot non-land cards from the top of your library. So, plot. I'm going to look just to make sure I get this correct. So the plot mechanic is new to this set, obviously. Typically, we will see cards that will have a plot cost on them, and it's pretty similar to either Suspend or Foretell, where you play the plot cost and exile the card face up, and then on a subsequent turn, you can play that card for free without paying its mana cost. So it's like you're sort of suspending it, you're sort of foretelling it, you're telling the entire table what's going on. You they're gonna know what you're gonna do. This is the plot of it. But then you get to play it for free. So you give your opponents an opportunity to play around something, but then you get to do explosive huge turns. So seems like a very cool mechanic. I'm personally very excited for it. And Fibble looks like it's gonna be a big part of making that very cool. So being able to plot your cards for their mana cost from the top of your library, powerful. This is sort of a future sight ability. It's historically very good as well. Yeah, just being able to, not being able to get lands is what makes looking at the top of your library difficult, because if you ever hit 2 lands in a row or you hit a land, all of a sudden it does nothing and you have a 3-mana 1/1 with Ward 2, which is not good. So I think if you are playing any type of top deck manipulation, this is going to become very good. So it's neat. I don't think it's going to be very good, but I love seeing my boy Fibble. Past the legendary creatures that we know about, this is Duelist of the Mind. It's 1 and a blue for a human advisor that is a star 3. He's flying and vigilance, and his power is equal to the number of cards that you've drawn this turn. So at face value, on your turn, it's going to be a 1/3, and on your opponent's turns, it will be a 0/3. And he says whenever you commit a crime, so again, anytime you're targeting your opponents or anything of theirs, you may draw a card. If you do discard a card, this ability triggers only once a turn. It is Wizards hampering us again. This, I mean, seems very good. 2-mana things that draw cards and have flying and vigilance is a special place in my heart. So I'm going to be excited to try this out. If you're, playing any type of crimes in your decks, this is going to give you a little extra value for it. So love it. It's also nice to see the World Championship cards come to fruition. So this is Nathan Stewart, the World Champion from last year. Next we have Hell to Pay, which is X and a red for a sorcery. Hell to Pay deals X damage to target creature, and then you create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. So I guess dream scenario is you play this X equals 5 or whatever on some like X1 creature, and then make like 4 tokens after it. And then you've taken out something and you've got tokens. Like if you play this targeting a like an Esper Sentinel, you're kind of killing it. I feel good about it. It's a neat card. I love variants on the X and red. I hate that it's a sorcery, so that alone kind of kills it for me. I'm prefer my removals to be instant speed, but who knows? Maybe making the treasure will balance that out. Past that, another thing to talk about with Outlaws. So there was a planned Epilog set like March of the Machine: The Aftermath. But because of how poorly that set was received, Wizards decided to just make it a bonus sheet and include it in the play boosters. So there's going to be 30 mythics that are all on this extra bonus sheet that are included in the same slot as special guests. They are standard legal, however, they're going to be probably pretty tough to come by. So the first one that we need to talk about is Sword of Wealth and Power. So they're expanding the sword series past the 10 color pairs. So this is a classic. It's a 3-mana equipment that equips for 2. And it has equip creature gets +2/+2 and protection from instants and from sorceries. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you create a treasure token. And when you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So very good. I mean, protection from instants and sorceries is you can't play targeted removal on my creatures. So I think this is going to be a very, very valuable sword. As we've seen with the Emeralds that have protection from instants, it becomes very strong. So getting +2/+2 and protection from instants and sorceries is very cool. I like that they're doing this. Making treasures and then doubling instants and sorceries. Killer. So there's a very specific deck that wants this, that is a creature focused it's like Spellslinger deck or something with a lot of instants and sorceries, but even just getting extra value from things like Brainstorms or Ponders, where you just get to double those, this is going to become very good. It's also colorless, so it could go in any like commander deck. I would be looking out to pick up copies of these, even if like if your commander wants to be casting or copying instants and sorceries, this is going to be an auto include in those decks. So let me know down below some commanders that this would fit super well in. Immediately think of like the Mizzixes. You know, there was a Spellslinger deck from the. I'm just gonna move on. Let me know. Last one we're going to talk about from the Big Score set is Nexus of Becoming, which is a 6-mana artifact that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, draw a card. Nice. Then you may exile an artifact or creature card from your hand. If you do, create a token that's a copy of the exiled card, except it's a 3/3 golem artifact creature in addition to its other types. I'm in love with this. This is very cool. Even just drawing a card at the beginning of your combat is so cool. It's wild that it's at the beginning of combat. And then, yeah, you get to exile either an artifact or a creature that becomes a 3/3 golem. I'm into this. There's, again, weird things to be done with this. There is broken things to be done with this. I love God Pharaoh's Gift. That is a huge favorite of mine. So any like big artifacts that get extra value out of creatures, you know I'm on for. Last thing to talk about is the special guests, which have this very, very cool wanted poster treatment. So we have the ones that have been revealed have been Thoughtseize, which I don't need to tell you what Thoughtseize does, and this Crime and Punishment. Sorry, I was about to read Prosperity, which was the name of the newspaper apparently. Yeah, so the special guests will have this very cool wanted poster treatment. It's easier to see the Thoughtseize, so I'll leave it on this one. But yeah, I'm overall feeling very excited and looking forward to Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I think we've had a couple of pretty mid sets in a row with like Murders at Karlov Manor, and it's nice to finally be ramping up to something. So I'm excited to see OKO and the boys in action and start committing some crimes. So stick around. I'll be doing daily spoiler videos, and I'll see you in a little bit.